100 laps, 500 miles to start the 2024 season. Green flag, the Daytona 500 is underway. Still building speed in the back straightaway.
Well, they're building speed, Mike, but the one thing I can tell you about the start of this race that all the drivers are going through is going to be experiencing the speed of the pack that they haven't experienced all week. All 40 cars in the pack, they've only raced against half the field so far, and right now they're all lined up, building speed, but speed that they haven't felt before this week.
I think this weather is going to play a role in it. Mike, you told us about the weather. Sun's out. You can see it shining down on this racetrack and on these cars. These boys are going to have their hands full here in a few laps, and these things start slipping and sliding around and tires wear out.
And after 2 solid days of soaking rain, you don't want to end up in that infield grass. That will be a difficult escape.
Well, we qualified at night. We raced in the duels at night. You see the sun shining like Clint is talking about, and these guys are going to experience that as they get 10, 12, 15 laps into this run. But the thing I can tell you is it will also go through a bigger swing today because of the fact that we're starting in the sun and going to end in the dark.
They're lined up like the pace lap, but they're doing 186 miles an hour.
Man, Clint, there is nothing like the sound of these race cars when they come by you, and you hear those cars come by our cameras and rattle in the cameras, and the speed of the cars as they go down the back straightaway there. There is nothing like it, and the drivers are still a little bit tense.
Well, right now it's bumper to bumper traffic as we know it, right? Nowhere to go, just follow the leader. Shortly, you're going to start seeing, we got a pair of Fords on the front, Toyota's the second row. You see a Penske car, you know that's a Logano teammate. These boys are going to start finding each other. It's just a matter of when and how.
And it's just like they experienced Thursday night. The beginning of this race is really, how does my car feel? Is it hitting the ground? Am I comfortable in the seat, steering? And we see the same excitement that little guy sees in the grandstands watching our screen right here.
The other thing about this race in particular, you know, we've watched the duels. I heard you say that. That's a half a field, half a pack. This is the first time all of these guys have felt their cars running this speed. Larry showed us how much of a difference just one car makes behind. Can you imagine a whole field? 40 cars back there making it.
All right, here's the first breakout up in turn number 3, 3 wide, about 7 or 8 rows back. Things starting to move in mid-pack. Ross Chastain was the first to break out to the outside. There you see his blue and white number 1 with Josh Berry behind him.
Well, that's the two strategies that the other drivers are on in the back of the pack. How do I get to the front? You know, and Ross Chastain's like, man, I'm going to tow this pack with me. And you see a lot of guys in that outside line lined up behind him, wanting to be aggressive and get to the front of this pack fast.
Well, he ain't the only one either. Other guys will get greedy. You see Brad Keselowski in that 6 car jumped up in front of him. He won't be the only one coming to the front.
John Hunter Nemechek, the 42, he's looking up high. Maybe perhaps trying to hold both the middle and the high lane back in his 42.
Can't be iffy in these decisions, Kevin. That spotter says clear up, you better be there.
Oh, crash! 2 cars slam together, and Harrison Burton takes a wild ride through the grass and up into more traffic, gets tagged, turned around, and 5 cars are in it. Ryan Preece.
I think he missed that inside wall. Harrison Burton, big damage on the 21 car.
And Carson Hocevar, the rookie, gets taken out into that very, very wet grass in the ball field.
Well,
the Wood brothers trying for their 100th ever NASCAR win, and Harrison Burton gets tagged and sent.
Well, this is exactly what you don't want to see happen. Something early in this race where everybody's trying to race hard, and we just talked about those guys going to that 3rd lane, and it puts those guys in the middle lane in a bad spot with the handling of their cars that they hadn't really been in. Let's see what happened, Clint.
Watch the 21, Harrison Burton.
Okay, you see Harrison Burton in the middle of that 3 wide conversation we're talking about, and we are also talking about John Hunter Nemechek kind of being iffy on his move.
Now the 42, John Hunter Nemechek on the outside of Burton, the green and white car, and Brad Keselowski and he make contact.
Keselowski got to his rear bumper, just took a little bit of a love tap, turned him sideways, kind of looked to me like he was on the left corner of that bumper, turned him right down into Harrison Burton.
Well, and it's just what we were talking about, Clint. With
Pace car is in. We begin lap 12. Burton and Grala's cars both removed to the garage. I believe everybody else was able to continue.
Well, that's either going to be a wake-up call for everybody and this is going to calm down, or that's just going to set the tone for this whole race with chaos and pushing and shoving. We know we're going to see pushing and shoving, but with that third line, that was a bit of a surprise that early for me.
I agree with that, and I think it'll be the first one that you just offered. I think it's going to calm them down a little bit. We're going to settle in. 500 miles is a long time.
And Carson Hocevar, the rookie, has taken his car to the garage also from that. Jimmy Johnson and Austin Dillon are 2 laps down, while Ryan Preece stays on the lead lap. Hocevar and Burton have been released from the care center.
And now it all resets. We see Christopher Bell and Ryan Blaney at the front of this pack. Daniel Hemrick at the front of the pack, like you guys talked, didn't pit, stayed up front. That's a call from the crew chief to say, hey, we need to do something early to establish ourselves at the front of the pack and hope that you have enough guys to pit with you, or you have another caution fall your way. And I would tell you that I would much rather be at the front, Mike, than at the back. I feel like it's safer.
Regan, how about Blaney's move to the front?
Well, my crew chief, Jonathan Hassler, said exactly what he would do earlier today. He said, I'm going to be very aggressive if there's a yellow early in the race or as green flag cycles present themselves. That's what he did right here to get his driver up front. But part of the reason he could do that, Ryan Blaney very happy with the car as it is right now. A little loose in the corners, meaning the back sliding, otherwise good.
A.J. Allmendinger having difficulty, a drive-through penalty. Right here on pit road.
See Austin Dillon headed to the garage area in that 3 car. Such a bummer.
Former Daytona 500 winner. Out of it here. Allmendinger was penalized, given a drive-through penalty for not lining up properly for the restart. John Hunter Nemechek served a penalty for equipment violation, and William Byron, to get into his pit stall, had to make a late dive outside another car, ended up in the wrong pit box. So he restarted tail end of the longest line as well.
Yeah, pit road looked like we were still in Los Angeles. It would look dangerous out there.
Watching Hemrick and Blaney pull that off and get this track position, virtually going from the tail back to the front, leading this pack, Kevin. I'm kind of surprised some other teams didn't elect to try that.
Well, we're racing towards stage 1, and everybody knows that there are points on the line. I know we're racing for the Daytona 500 and everything that we need to do, but you got to put yourself in whatever you think is the best position to not have to put tires on, to not have to, to put the least amount of fuel into it, but you got to have track position. You want to be able to be in control of this race, and that was always something that Rodney Childers and myself talked about when I was still driving the car. How do we establish ourselves at the front of the field to be in charge of the race and be able to make decisions and control the lines and do everything that you need to do? So I'd much rather be in the front. Being in the middle is easier, and riding in the back is easy, but you got to learn and race and do the things that it takes in order to be in position and know what to do at the end of this race to win.
Ryan Blaney is not just the defending Cup Series champion. He is a 3rd-generation racing champ. Let's go under the helmet with Ryan Blaney.
Another 8-9 laps based on this pace right here.
Pretty hard to believe you can hold a pack of, 37 cars up behind you, 3 seconds a lap, Kevin.
Well, you got to be able to put yourself in a position from a strategy standpoint, and that's one thing that has come into play with this car. There's so much going on behind the scenes with the war rooms and the pit box and the calculations, and it's a complicated game, and it just makes it that much more exciting when you have that early caution and everything happening. Jamie?
Well, Austin Cindric in the 2. You guys talked about him being a teammate to the Penske boys. He won this race in 2022. He knows how to get around, knows what to do, and he just heard those words he wanted to hear. You are good on fuel to the end of this stage. Hammer down.
Well, that's good for us too. When they tell them hammer down, that means we're going back to pushing and shoving and trying to get the best position that you can, because now we're 27 to go in the stage, and you got to start positioning yourself to try to win it.
They were like a bunch of geese. I don't want to go up front and burn more fuel. You want to go up front and burn more fuel? No, I'm going to sit right here. No, I'm going to sit right here. I don't want to be out front. Yeah. Nobody wanted to be out front until finally somebody did.
Yeah, they're typical racers. Once somebody wins, it's like, well, I got to go.
But once that crew chief told me, we're talking about Austin Cindric, told me you're good to go to the end. Now it's all about track position. Now, just like we know about Daytona, find my allies, find my teammates, and get this thing to the front. More importantly, get it to the front with people that I can trust at the end of this so I can go after these stage points.
4 Fords out front, then Christopher Bell's Toyota, then Daniel Hemrick's Chevrolet. 3 Penske cars and Michael McDowell kind of fulfilling the preseason prophecy of how those Fords have speed and run well together at Daytona.
There you saw Cindric move down in his line with his Penske teammates. He saw him wave to Blaney, which let him in right there. Thank you very much, teammate.
All right, what's the difference between seeing your teammate, your real teammate from your team in your mirror versus anybody? Oh, here we go. What? They're going to pit.
That wasn't a wave that let me in. That was a wave, we're pitting.
And drag others with them. This should be gas only, like all green flag pit stops today. Christopher Bell going to get it filled up. Ryan Blaney is in.
Big time heads up play by Bell and company on that 20 car. You know he didn't get the signal that we're going to pit. That was a heads up play. He saw them. They needed that pit stop, and he went with them.
Daniel Hemrick came in with the Penske cars and Christopher Bell. They don't all leave together. 2 stragglers, including Hemrick. And up in your upper left, you see the cars leading each of those 2 groups now that Michael McDowell is the race leader. More stops. Well, one more.
I think that's Buescher.
It is Chris Buescher for RFK.
By himself. I would think that's an untimely, unplanned pit stop. Possibly an issue.
.24 laps to go. That's Josh Berry right in the middle. Got up there kind of close to Chase Elliott and Kyle Busch in the outside in the 9 and the 8. Chevrolet trying to lead for the first time today. And it's Chase Elliott rolling to the front for Team Hendrick, but nobody with him. Feeding time, and this looks like most all of the Chevrolets coming to pit road at lap 55.
Well, and this is the hand that Ryan Blaney forced when he took off. It made all these guys not be able to save fuel, and now they're short for this particular stage, so here they are.
Not much fuel at all. Quick splash and go.
And they'll be pretty strung out as they come off pit road.
Busch beats them off of pit road. Looks like Eric Jones stalled it, leaving his box.
Yeah, and that's what you don't want to have happen. You want to do everything that you need to do to get on and off pit road as clean as possible to get right back in line and up to speed.
Now there's that Penske group, 38 seconds behind the leaders, and here's another group. Bubba Wallace, the race leader, locks it up coming to pit road, bringing Martin Truex with him. Denny Hamlin, all the Toyotas in this time. Again, these should be fuel-only stops. And Hamlin's the first one away. Now, if there is strength in numbers, it will be in this group forming up quickly in a draft, because here come the leaders through the trioval.
There they are. You see them merging back onto traffic, too. Kyle Busch leading. They're going to blow right past them, Kevin.
Yeah, and they got formed back up really well. Off of pit road, in a single file line, all Chevrolets right there.
Did a better job.
They just did a better job.
They were cleaner coming on, more efficient coming in. You saw Bubba Wallace slid, stacked that line up a little bit.
And that's what you want to do. That's exactly what Bubba Wallace wants to see happen. He wants to see those cars have to make a lane change in order to slow them down just a touch.
Now that group is Kyle Busch in 9th place on back of the Chevrolets who pitted. Here are the leaders. Noah Gragson from Las Vegas. That will hand the lead to the driver who a month ago wasn't even scheduled to run this race, David Ragan, who is added to Team RFK, Roush Fenway Keselowski, as a teammate to Brad Keselowski and Chris Buescher, with Ryan Preece right behind. Here's Ragan's radio.
I'm just going to leave it on 50% throttle and do it. And just make sure the 41 knows this.
Yeah, copy. Yeah, he was just down here talking to me. Or 41. They know where we're at.
You see him. I'm going to leave it at 50% throttle, and I'm going to the end of this thing. That is what we're going after. How about Preece? He was the one that barely missed that wall, was collected in that wreck, just might ended up with a second place out of this stage. This is going to be close.
Meanwhile,
50% throttle. The question is, will this pack catch him at 50% throttle?
Meanwhile, Christopher Bell and Daniel Hemrick, when those leaders pitted, they got back on the lead lap, and so did Ryan Blaney. Michael McDowell is now the first car one lap down. So on the map at the top, you see 60. That is Ragan, the race leader. Kyle Busch in third, with a group that is running 5 seconds faster a lap.
All right, Kevin, I listened to you at the top of the show. You told me all the manufacturers, you go in as a driver, you're listening, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to pit at this lap, we're going to do it together. We're going to do it as a manufacturer group. Holy cow, look down this list on the pylon. They're all over the place. 2 Fords leading, Chevrolets, a gaggle of them, and then Toyotas behind them. They're all over the place.
Yeah, I think that the first 2 guys are, they're going really slow. Obviously, you see that the Chevrolets eat them up there, but the Chevrolets and the Toyotas are together as we go through this first 2 packs here. So it's the Chevrolets have done a great job in doing what they need to do on and off pit road.
Well, Ragan and Preece, they might make it to the end of the stage, but it won't matter. They've lost the track position and, moreover, the points that they were going after, stage points.
But they should be able to stay on the lead lap, which will keep them in the top 30 for stage 2.
Well, and what's going to happen as we see 2 to go here, they should be able to start racing here and do what they need to do to try to get themselves in a position to get stage points. So it's either 2 to go or 1 to go. It depends on what the manufacturer has told them, what the team plan is to get to that point as to when you can race.
That's exactly right. And I see 2 teammates, Hendrick cars behind them. Look, one in between Daniel Suarez. Then you see Larson already going to the outside with Bowman. Look for Chase Elliott and his teammate as well, Byron, to go up. 4 Hendrick cars pouncing on your leader. Coming.
The points earned in each stage, 10 through 1 for the first 10 finishers. They carry with you all through the season. Some of these teams are counting points beginning right now.
How about this? Byron moved up to go around him. Busch made a block, separated those Hendrick cars. Now Chase Elliott to the lead. Final lap of the stage.
Lap car slow on the bottom. Chase Elliott trying to bring them around and pick up the stage win. after a truly disappointing 2023. Kyle Larson, teammate to Chase Elliott. Will he ride with him? Will he try to grab those 10 points and the stage ticket for himself?
We see Ross Chastain coming to the back bumper of the 5 car.
Gonna see a push. Gonna see momentum. Watch this 5 going to the outside of Chase Elliott.
That's what it took. Now
Big push by Chase. I think the win goes to Chase Elliott. Fantastic.
The stage.
For the 500 and the 300-mile Xfinity race that will follow tonight. Back under green, stage 2.
Here. Just right here. Here comes the 11 and hook back up to you. Up a half behind you.
That's Josh Berry's spotter, Eddie DeHaan. 16 spotter changes for 2024. A lot of movement there. Eddie DeHaan from Chase Elliott to Josh Berry.
Yeah, Eddie DeHaan has a lot of experience with being on Chase Elliott's radio for a number of years and now on Josh Berry's radio. The reason Josh Berry is up in the front is because of that 4-tire pit stop that they made under green. They only had to do fuel under caution, and now they are up in the front of the pack.
Same for Todd Gilliland in that red and black 38. Second car back on the outside. Same strategy as Berry.
Yeah, I'm glad you touched on Todd Gilliland there. He is just, as we ride on board with Denny Hamlin, Todd Gilliland's on the outside in the 38 car right there. Always does a great job, I think, on these super speedways and finding something that makes it happen to get to the front. And here comes that third line, Clint.
Huge run on the outside, 3 wide. I was trying to get it out of you. How about Joey Logano off the bumper of Chase Briscoe in that 14 car? We are going to the front and doing it in a hurry.
And right with them is the 51 of Justin Haley, who finished 10th in the Clash. That's the 51. Haley said, that gave us a lot of hope coming to Daytona. Hey, we beat teams that have more employees and more square footage in their gift shop than we have in our race shop.
And he's another one that's done a great job on the super speedways. Has won here at Daytona in the Cup Series before, and always seems to find his way to the front, right behind Joey Logano right now.
Like seeing that Joey Logano. We heard you talking about Eddie DeHaan and the chemistry between these drivers and their spotters. Listen to that guy telling you how far is he back, moving back, feeling the energy. All right, here comes Briscoe on the inside, staying in line with them. Nothing like that being that feeling of being up front and watching in the rearview mirror, those lines form behind you.
So Haley, who has a July race win at Daytona in the 51 for Rick Ware, and down on the bottom Chase Briscoe in the 14, who is now the senior tenured driver at Stewart-Haas.
Well, he almost needed a tow truck right there because Josh Berry was all over that back bumper, and they got really swirly on the inside line and broke that line up.
A lot of energy in the outside 2 lanes here.
Still bid 3, 1 out front. 11 jump in middle with you. Still 1 out front. Now half out front.
That's Drew Herring, Martin Truex's sponsor, the number 19.
Yeah, and that mistake by Josh Berry and Chase Briscoe on the bottom has just completely demolished the bottom line. You see those guys slip all the way almost to the back of this whole pack here, and really taking 3 lines down to 2, and then 1 line up in the front.
Yeah, all that energy moved to the outside, shuffled them to the back, and away they go. Just trying to establish again. Denny pushing Byron, see if they can get this bottom going back to the front, pointed in the right direction.
Chris Buescher has joined the party. Now 3 Fords out front of Kyle Busch's Chevrolet.
Yeah, and here's that replay of Josh Berry on the bottom, and those guys just a little bit off center, and then Josh tried to chase his bumper down there, and it was too late at that particular point.
The outside pole sitter. NASCAR is going back to Chicago. A 4th of July festival, music, entertainment, and racing throughout Grant Park. Headlined by Keith Urban, Chainsmokers, the Black Keys, and Lauren Elena. July 6 and 7. For tickets and experiences, visit NASCARchicago.com.
Well, we see Todd Gilliland slid up in front of the other two Fords. First, the second one of Joey Logano there, but now Todd Gilliland is the leader on that outside line and left only 5 cars in the bottom.
Well, I think that's what Truex wanted. He's got a teammate, an ally, if you will, and Reddick behind him. Let's see if those two Toyotas can do good. But Logano pushing on that Gilliland on the outside is going to help that line big time.
"34 cars on the lead lap." Jimmy Johnson, the 7-time champion, now 3 laps down. Josh?
Well, the day started with so much promise for the 84 of Jimmy Johnson after racing his way into the Daytona 500. Unfortunately involved in that wreck early in the race. So after that last pit stop, he started complaining about a steering issue after coming out just not able to catch up to the draft. The most important thing for Jimmy now as a part owner of Legacy Motor Club, he told me earlier, is just about getting data, about being out there so that he can relay whatever information he's able to pick onto to the rest of the team in hopes that it can uplift the team and get them where they need to be, guys.
Well, you can see his steering wheel right there, the markers on the top. That should be clear over to the left side, indicating wheel straight up on your pits. That wheel's way off. A lot of toe damage on the front of that car.
Johnson carrying the Creed Tour onboard camera today. Boy, Martin Truex just can't get that low line up to the front, can he?
Well, there's just not as much surge. You've got that second place car and the third place car, but there's just not as much energy behind those fourth and fifth place cars like there is in that outside line to rebound.
And just as I say that, there he goes.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to see him cycle up there. Well, we see somebody else drop down out of the pack. So
what you're seeing is a good old-fashioned drag race by 2 manufacturers. Got them Toyotas lined up on the inside, the Dark Horse Mustangs on the outside. I like it. I dig it.
Todd Gilliland and Joey Logano now have gone to the bottom. Bubba Wallace up to the outside to take the lead in this Daytona 500. Toyota, Chevy, and then 5 Fords. Now pit stops will be coming up soon. Josh?
Yeah, and one of those drivers that's going to come in for a pit stop very soon is Josh Berry in the 4. And as Kevin knows up in the booth, this is a new era for that team. And then crew chief Rodney Childers told me that they worked in the offseason doing some late model races together just to establish a relationship so they weren't starting at ground zero when the season started. He said that was super important for them so they felt comfortable heading into the season and had better communication streamlined. Regan?
Well, Josh, what a great run back to the front yet again today for Kyle Busch as he leads this race right now, up 28 positions since the restart. A little surprising, too, because Kyle does not love that race car as of right now. Said it shoves the nose when he turns the wheel too much, meaning it's tight. It wants to go up the racetrack, but you wouldn't notice that based on him up front. Mike?
Kyle Busch, Bubba Wallace, Ryan Preece up in front of Todd Gilliland, Ryan Blaney and Joey Logano. A lot of jostling side to side. Whoa.
A lot of hands out right there. Ryan Preece, he's wanting down. I think they're wanting to pit. He's trying to get down, got his hand out the window. Bubba Wallace, no can do.
Well, we saw the 38, the 22, and the 23 of Bubba Wallace and 8 of Kyle Busch. Everybody worked themselves down a couple laps ago anticipating coming to pit road.
Not this lap.
This time.
Well, and that's the reason I make that point is because Ryan Blaney and Ryan Preece in the 41 and the 12 in the outside lane, there's really nowhere for them to go right now unless somebody makes a hole. And they know it's coming up, so they got to get themselves in position without losing a bunch of spots, if possible.
And that's where trouble strikes. We've seen it time and time again. They try to get down anyway, cross paths and get spun out, getting on the pit road. Very tricky, very tight quarters.
And the further that this goes and the closer that it gets, that gets harder and harder to do.
All right, Kyle Busch and Bubba Wallace with a handout. And Preece drops in on the bottom and takes the lead. The Berlin, Connecticut former modified champ.
Here they come.
And here he comes. Going to drag a big pack with him. This will be half the field. Down to pit road speed at the yellow line. Twenty cars come in, and around goes one of them as John Hunter Nemechek tried to force the issue on Josh Berry.
Josh Berry needed to get down. Hunter was already there and turned him right around.
That's okay. They'll fuel it facing the other way. As long as he's in his pit box, it's a legal stop.
Well, we always talk about how everything is so planned and you want this to be structured and organized, and the next thing you know, you come on the pit road, there's cars crossing over each other's paths trying to get to pit road, and we have wrecks.
Another pack will come this time, perhaps. Ryan Preece, too fast entering pit road. He came in as the leader, couldn't get it slowed down quick enough. He'll have to do a drive-through penalty at pit road speed. That's car number 8, Kyle Busch, with that group of cars leading the race, and some of them coming to pit road. The group of cars led by the 22, mostly Fords, that were first to stop. Things a little more orderly here, as they can be when you only have 8 cars coming in at one time.
A little bit of a smaller group, so it allows those guys to be a little more orderly because there's more room to move around.
All of these are fuel only. And that pack will pretty much leave as a group, with the exception of Zane Smith's car. Now Kyle Larson is the race leader, with Blaney, Elliott, and remember when we did the starting grid and I said, who's your sleeper pick? How about Corey LaJoie? There he is with that group in the 7.
And here that group comes down pit road.
8 cars to take fuel under green. Mostly Chevys, but for Austin Cindric and Ryan Blaney in Fords.
Kevin, these green flag pit stops are all about efficiencies. Coming on pit road, coming off the pit road together. Who can do it best?
Well, we saw the first 2 groups merge, and the third group is going to merge right in the middle of turns 1 and 2 as the lead pack of what is the 8 car of Kyle Busch coming down to these guys. And as we go to the backstretch here, it's going to be interesting.
I just saw a teammate right there. You saw Logano coming up on the outside. That 3 car, Austin Dillon, pulled up and made a block. Kyle Busch is in the lead of that thing. 3 car, several laps down, pulled up and made a block. That's teamwork right there.
Well, this is what you want. There you go. Austin Cindric pull up. That's his job. His job is to pull up and try to disrupt that line as much as possible to slow everything down. Joey Logano's coming behind Austin Cindric. He gets behind his teammate. Kyle Busch is all messed up because William Byron is up the racetrack and they have slowed the whole pack down, and now they're right in the middle of it towards the front.
That all started with Austin Dillon moving up and making that block on Logano. Collected all of those. They were going to blow by all of them on the outside.
So now the 8, Kyle Busch, looks to the high side, trying to catch the race leader, who is Kyle Larson, with his Hendrick teammate Chase Elliott in tow.
That's like saying, hey, we're going to go down the highway, and it's that guy that's sitting in the slow lane like Boyer. He's just sitting there. Well, that's what you're supposed to do. Pull over, screw everything up as much as you can, and they wound up blocking him really, really well. But I know that seems like a strange strategy to pull up into a high-speed car that's going way faster than you.
It's to the bottom. Christopher Bell made a 3rd lane on the bottom, and he's got some help. Watch that yellow Camry trying to get to the front.
4 to go. It's time.
With Ricky Stenhouse, last year's 500 winner, right with him.
Well, they're going to need more cars down there, and the problem is they're going to catch these cars that are a little bit slower coming up to them, and that's usually when it creates problems, especially if they're 3 wide.
But those 3 cars in a line, they've got a lot of energy already built up, momentum. I think that's a decent move by Bell. He saw that coming. Here comes an opportunity. Let's use that air off those cars, see if we can get to the front, maybe move up before we catch them.
They're going to catch Ty Gibbs, Josh Berry, and Ryan Preece here.
Yeah, the problem is if they do catch them, though, I don't know that they're going to go anywhere. And now you see the cars behind Ricky Stenhouse get up into that 2nd lane because they're anticipating those guys being in the way and not being able to go 4 wide. And that's going to take Christopher Bell and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. back. There's just nowhere to go.
Went for it. He didn't have the track position, the end of the stage. I like it. Got to try. You see, I think you saw Larson right there dip down. He's going.
He is. Kyle Larson on the bottom by himself. Coming to 2 to go in stage 2. Lapped cars well to the inside, or about to be lapped cars.
Those teammates are holding strong in that middle. Big shot by Blaney. Giving Cindric a shove. Byron on that outside, pushing Busch.
Those 3 cars just getting lapped all had some pit road issues, with Barry getting turned around. And that's why they're now going a lap down.
Gosh, this side by side with the bottom lane moving so close to the outside lane, they're obviously in a position where they feel like it's helping them keep up and keep the momentum, but it keeps getting tighter and tighter and tighter, and it's going to cause a problem at some point.
And that point is off the corner. When you get tight, you lose the nose off that car in front of you. There's no room for error. You're going to be up in the side of that car. Seen it time and time again here on the exit of the corners.
Daniel Suarez, the Freeway Insurance cam, coming up into play here. He is 5th as they have half a lap to go to complete stage 2.
Well, you see Daniel Suarez right here with this throttle percentage. What he's doing right there is checking up so he doesn't run into the back of the car in front of him, and that's the kind of momentum that they have right now, able to just run up there and ram that car if he didn't let off the throttle.
Battle for the stage win, battle to be the first car 1 lap down and get the free pass. That's Priest versus Gibbs as Cindric takes him into turn 3. Blaney to the bottom. He said he wasn't going to help his teammates. He didn't. He dropped to the bottom to try to win stage 2.
Great move by Cindric to move up before Busch got to his outside and get caught in the middle. That was a heads-up move by Cindric.
Champion Ryan Blaney wins stage 2 from Austin Cindric, Daniel Suarez, Kyle Busch, and Tyler Reddick.
Well, and you want to put yourself in position to put the least amount of fuel in as possible. Here we go.
Daniel Suarez had equipment interference on his stop, so has to start at the back.
Haven't seen him all day, but look at that. Ricky Stenhouse, last year's winner of the Daytona 500. He's found his way to the front, folks.
And on these styles of track, he typically does. He's won several races on super speedways, obviously winning the Daytona 500 last year, and here we go with the pushing and shoving at the front.
Teammates working together for a while at least here. Cindric and Blaney outside.
The trust factor of that relationship's a little bit rocky, Kevin.
Well, I think as you get towards the end of those stages, it gets a little bit looser, but we heard loud and clear how that was going to work out from the 12th seat.
3 wide, 1 car up, almost brushed the wall in the back. That was David Reagan with the 11. Denny Hamlin.
Yeah, you see Logano, just like he did at the start of that last stage, already marching to that outside line. Here he comes. Blocked by Chastain this time.
Up the middle, the 7, Corey LaJoie. He's got help from Christopher Bell and more. And up comes Bubba Wallace and Tyler Reddick to hold back that middle line.
And look at the bottom line going away again, just like we saw last time.
Well, when that 23 car pulled up, when the front car pulls up like that, it immediately just pulls the momentum back in that bottom lane. And as we've seen, that middle and top lane seems to be where you want to be as the race kind of gets through these first few laps of the restart.
You can see him right there in the middle of that middle lane. Kyle Busch right back to the front, marching forward. Pretty amazing. Got a fast hot rod.
Kyle Larson right in the middle of all that. Right behind Kyle Busch, and behind them Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin coasting around in 19th. I say coasting because we've not seen Hamlin make a charge to the front all day, all evening. He's been content to ride out back.
Well, he told us that yesterday, Clint. He said, "I'm not worried about points. I want to win the Daytona 500." He's very determined in doing what he needs to do to put himself in position to win the race at the end, and he told us that he wasn't going to worry about it in the beginning.
Absolutely, according to plan so far, Denny Hamlin.
A.J. Allmendinger, who served a pit road penalty earlier, has worked his way back to where now he is the lead car on the inside in 6th place. Right with him. It'll be 53 to go when they come back to the start-finish line in what has already been a calamitous Daytona 500. What will happen over the final 50 laps here today? head to the outside. This is the most laps Joey Logano has led in the Daytona 500. When he won in 2015, he led 31 circuits. Tonight, he's been out front for 41. He's been by far the strongest Ford. But Brad Keselowski's team added a third car just for the 500. David Reagan, well-known super speedway star. He's won here. He's in second place with Brad in fourth. Jamie.
Yeah, and how about David Reagan? He's one of our analysts here on NASCAR on Fox, and he'll run a race or two a year, but he got this opportunity from Brad Keselowski, and he is showing exactly why he was the guy for the job. 2 career wins. They both came on this style of track, and he's going to be going for the win here in no time at all. Great job by David Reagan tonight.
David does a lot of simulator work and wheel force work and things for
pit stops.
Ford. Here we go.
A couple of the Toyotas break off. 5 cars coming this time by Ty Gibbs. Well, it's 2 Toyotas and 3 Chevrolets. Kind of a mixed bag.
Well, that's actually Riley Herbst there in the Monster Energy car.
Yeah, it's Riley Herbst. Yep.
I think you're going to see possibly these Fords stacked up on the bottom trying to make their move to the pits. This is time for that magical stop. No mistakes. Do not get caught speeding. Cannot recover from it.
And from a driver's standpoint, this is the most intense time when you know you have to get to pit road and get everything that you can get, but also not hit anybody.
There is Ty Gibbs. Now, the cars that just pitted were not among the leaders at the front of the pack.
Come the Toyotas.
And they are from the back of the pack. 7 cars, 8 cars pitting here.
Bell, Reddick, Truex. It's all most of the Toyotas. Denny is not amongst them.
Eric Jones, Bubba Wallace. There's Ty Gibbs in the 54 and Nemechek. Fuel only and away. They'll come out in a pretty tight pack. At least 5 of them will here. All right, how long do the Fords and Chevys stay out? Every lap you run, that's less time you have to spend on pit road. Another group, a small group of 3, peel off from the back. Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch, unlikely allies pitting here.
Well, they were together on the racetrack, and sometimes you just have to go with the fastest car and whoever's around you at that particular time. And this is what we talked about earlier. Sometimes your strategy is out the window and you just have to do what you have to do when it's time to stop.
Kind of surprised me it was just a couple cars, though.
Justin Haley pitted with them, but it took them a while to get the fuel can connected to Haley.
This time.
Here they come. That's the Ford boys. No mistakes.
Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski peel off. That's Josh Berry, Ryan Preece, David Reagan, Ryan Blaney trying to muscle up through. 5 wide. They come to the timing line.
Well, and we saw exactly what Brad Keselowski was talking about with Joey Logano. Look at that lead that he has on those guys, and that all came in the braking zone.
See Chastain still on racetrack, still leading the Chevrolet camp. Stenhouse in tow.
Logano and Keselowski get out first with Reagan. And those 3 hooked up may be tough to beat if we stay green here.
Well, and the games are going to begin on the back straightaway.
Here comes everybody else. Ross Chastain in front of Kyle Larson on the outside. Stenhouse and Suarez on the inside. William Byron, Alex Bowman, Chase Elliott, all the Hendrick cars. And Anthony Alfredo.
Yeah, and all these guys that are on pit road right now, they're pitting later, so it should be less time in the pits because of the amount of fuel that they're taking.
Big pack coming off turn number 4 as they leave and try to get back up to speed.
You see the Ford camp right there in your screen, folks. got a good chain going.
Yep.
Getting up through the, but there is a huge pack behind them coming.
Logano, Keselowski, Reagan, Blaney, and more. If that outside lane stays open, they're just going to inhale this whole field because they are at speed.
You see all three groups right there connecting, merging in one.
Logano drops to the inside, trying to sniff a draft from the Toyotas ahead of him. Back to the outside.
Well, and that's all that momentum that you have with the more speed because you've been out there long, and you see Kyle Larson do a great job. That's exactly what they needed to do. Kyle Larson and William Byron staggered themselves, and Joey Logano and Brad Keselowski have to weave in and out like you're going through a set of cones.
And you see Chastain, they were the last ones to pit. So far, so good. They were able to make those blocks. Logano, can they hold him back? Chastain's going to have to slow him down, and he does. Stenhouse, not so much.
Boy, Logano and Keselowski are going to be a tough combination to beat.
Well, they got beat right there because of some guts, and those guys putting those blocks on and slowed that line down because they did a way better job getting on and off of pit road and had those guys beat by a fair amount of time, and that all came from defense with those Chevrolets.
Stenhouse leads the inside, Chastain the outside. There's Logano and Keselowski.
I agree with you, Kevin. The Ford camp led by Logano, they did a fantastic job on pit road collectively. Their efficiency of the pit stop was much better than the others, but them slowly but surely, one by one, slowing their line down by the blocks enabled them to stay in front. Talking about Chastain.
Yeah, and Chastain gave up that outside line to go down in front of Ricky Stenhouse in another Chevrolet. I'm not sure that was the right thing to do because I just believe that Joey Logano has always been one of the best pushers. But as this goes, you can see that it's getting physical. We're 3 wide in the middle of the pack back there, and things are going to start to happen in a much more physical way than they have.
Flip side of what you said, I like what Chastain did. If I'm him, I'm getting on the bumper of Stenhouse in that 47.
Yeah,
I don't want to be on the bumper of that.
The reason
42.
that it helped, that 3 car there was slow car. He was getting a draft.
Big block. Pulled
Chastain up top with a block.
Logano. They're going to get 3 wide here, stacking them up. That was close.
Yeah, 3 wide mid-pack on back.
Now Stenhouse to the lead. Last year's Daytona 500 winner.
And Suarez leading the inside group. Chevrolet is to the front. Well, if you like pack racing, Sunday, the NASCAR Cup Series heads to Atlanta for more high-speed action. It's the Ambetter Health 400. It kicks off with pre-race at 2 Eastern and the green flag at 3, and it's only on Fox and the Fox Sports app. More of the same.
Well, now we see Daniel Suarez at the front of the racetrack. So this is going to continue changing as we go through all these shifts and blocks and everything that's getting ready to happen.
Well, it all happened on that outside. Chastain made a move. Stenhouse was slow to the block, didn't get up in front of them, got them bottled up. Got them 3 wide. That was close.
We talk about the importance of finding your teammate and getting online and lined up with your manufacturer and your teammate.
It's getting ready to get ugly here, boys.
Last year, the top 7 positions in the Daytona 500, 7 different teams in the top 7 spots.
Chase Elliott to the front. Bold move on the outside of his teammate Byron. It was so tight off of 2 there, Kevin.
See the 2 Hendrick cars down on the bottom. Alex Bowman pushing William Byron right up to the front.
And Chevrolets now controlling all 3 lanes.
Yeah, and right now the control is kind of out the window because they are just pushing and shoving to try to get all the way to the front, and the pushes just keep getting bigger and bigger. You see the flames coming out of Eric Jones' car there in the 43.
And we're told that Bubba Wallace, 2-time Daytona 500 runner-up, is going to have to stop. They didn't get enough fuel to make it to the finish.
3 wide. This energy back there forward. I look back 4 rows back. You see Reddick back there in that black and yellow car. Right in there. Calamity, buddy. It is coming. You can feel the intensity really ratcheting it up right here.
I'm with you, Clint.
The Toyotas kind of scattered between the lanes, not really together. But look on the high side, 22, 6, 12. Those 3 Fords together, all proven winners. Logano, Keselowski, Blaney. If they can get to the front, they could be tough to deal with.
Big pushes in that middle lane.
Well, we see the top lane surge with a good push, and that middle lane they had big pushes, but they just got all squirrely there and checked the momentum up. But Ross Chastain is putting his car right where he needs to be to keep those guys behind there. And what Joey Logano's going to do is try to shove him out there too far so he can give himself some space to try to sneak underneath him.
That's exactly right. And take Keselowski, but Keselowski moved him out of the way. Here comes Brad to the outside.
Keselowski looking for second. Chastain trying to hold back both lanes. That's a tall order here.
Listen to this spotter. Timely blocks. An untimely block, one little bit, one little slip up by 1 inch, and it's going to be all over with.
Well, it didn't cycle exactly the way that Logano wanted it to cycle, but he got Ross Chastain out there far enough to give himself a lane, and he winds up right back in front of Brad.
Chastain spotter Brandon McReynolds pretty busy right here as Logano pulls alongside. Coming to 10 laps to go. 30 drivers on the lead lap. Each trying to find the way to victory lane in the sport's biggest race.
Give is over. Take from now on. Don't give an inch.
Denny Hamlin said it all week. He said, I'm going to be selfish. Don't care about manufacturers, don't care about teammates. I'm here for me.
You see everybody lifting, you see the flames out of the pipes. Both lanes, all 3 lines for that matter. That's them stacking up. That's blocks up front, stacks them up behind. That's where the trouble's going to happen.
And when they stack up that bad, you have to let off the throttle in order to check the car up enough and probably touch the brake as well. But that just gives you an idea of the energy of this pack as they all keep pushing and shoving their way forward. Here we go again.
Chastain, lone wolf up here leading this pack with those 2 Fords behind him. Block, block, block. He knows they're wanting around him. They're going to make a move. Speaking of moves, Keselowski to the inside again. Back up in front of Logano.
And Chastain saw it coming and went up with him.
Now Logano to the outside. They can't get around.
Whoa! Keselowski gets turned by William Byron. Blaney gets caught up. Gilliland, Truex, Hamlin, and more.
All those Fords were struggling to get around Chastain. Who could get around and get that clean air track position first? That's what happened.
You knew it was coming. You knew it was coming. I mean, it's a parking lot down there. Cars parked everywhere.
Blaney out. Big damage on him.
Toe link broke on the back. That one's done.
Keselowski all wadded up. Gilliland, the black and red car, right with him. Anthony Alfredo there.
Reddick, massive damage on him.
Thursday night winner Tyler Reddick. Martin Truex. Eric Jones comes to pit road. So does Kyle Larson. Denny Hamlin made it back to the pits. So did Chris Buescher.
Well,
a lot of damage.
It just always gets to this point as you get to the end of the race. The pushes get harder. Everybody's just throwing caution to the wind to say, the heck with it. I'm going to the front. Martin Truex tore it. He's tore it bad right there.
Well, Chastain, I mean, I'd say he was a lone wolf up there. He was throwing blocks left and right, and they were making moves.
It was Alex Bowman with a push into William Byron that did not go well.
But it was the movement in front of them started stacking those guys up.
Yeah, when they get to blocking and moving out of line, those bump drafts just become misaligned, and all that energy going forward, they can't stop it, and they wind up running into the back of each other, misaligned, and they wreck, just like they did right there.
Chase Briscoe, the Mahindra Tractors cam, as he said stopped. Eric Jones, Ryan Blaney. Here's some audio from William Byron.
Yeah, I think we just got crossed up there, like the 6 and the 1 were changing lanes a bunch, and I was getting pushed.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we just mentioned. So let's take a look at it. Yeah, and you're going to see William Byron right here. Oh, we got
actually all 3 of those.
Yeah,
that's a pretty
all
good.
3 of those.
I'm glad you hit that.
And you see Alex Bowman up the racetrack, and then they start zigging and zagging here. And
well, obviously, William Byron and Bowman, that's where it ended up. But the movement from the 6 and the 22, jockeying for position, trying to outduel one another to that position of passing Chastain, that's what stacked all those guys up and got them in trouble.
Ross Chastain won the last race of last year at Phoenix. Last person to do that and then win the 500, Jeff Gordon, 1998 to 99. 4 laps to go. We're back to green.
see that top row, really everybody's formed up good. And I think as we just saw that huge wreck, I don't think that's going to keep any of those guys from pushing any harder than they were before. They're going to all keep pushing and shoving and trying to win this race.
Yeah, that's out the window. Not an option anymore.
Strength in numbers, Chevrolet dominates the top 10 right now.
Keep an eye on that rearview mirror. The energy is going to come from these pushes from behind. The accordion's going to be in effect. They're going to come fast.
7 of the top 10 are Camaros, with Cindric's Ford, Bell, and Nemechek in Toyotas.
Somebody's going to make a move. Where's this move going to come from? See that energy. The shot from Chase Elliott into his teammate Bowman. That's going to provide an opportunity for them to make a move.
Cindric gave Byron a shot, pushed him to the lead. Can he get him far enough in front for Cindric to make the lane change and have a shot to win it?
Comes this outside lane again, Kevin.
Well, that's going to change the momentum of that middle lane, and that bottom lane still formed up. You see Chase Elliott pull in front of the outside lane, and there goes Ross Chastain because it all broke up.
Bit of contact there midfield as William Byron, who succeeded Jeff Gordon in the Hendrick number 24, is out front.
Huge pushes on that outside. They kept getting in one another, had to back off. Accordion effect, stacked them up. Everybody had to lift. Broke that line up big time.
Cindric tried the top, no, got back in line. Now Chastain has a push.
A lot of energy on this outside. Chastain, here he comes, Kevin.
Well, we saw the same thing that happened to the top lane with the bottom lane. They got broke up, and now we've got William Byron leading the bottom lane with Austin Cindric behind him. Ross Chastain leading the outside lane.
1 lap to go, sponsored by Credit One Bank, and away they go. That is Cindric into Chastain and up into traffic.
Did they complete that lap?
Did the leader get the white flag?
This
Caution
could be
waving.
It's going to be close. It's going to be close.
I don't know if he got it out in time. I
believe they saw the white flag.
I think it's William Byron.
I think so too.
It was a block by him, caused Chastain to move down.
Ross Chastain gets away and will come around to see the final flag of the night. We are under caution with the accident happening just past the start-finish line. Austin Cindric going for a wild ride here, as did Ross Chastain.
You see the light on, you see Bowman ahead of Byron right there, but need to back it up and see this again.
And we'll await a ruling from NASCAR.
Regardless, if it's going to be those two, you see the checkered flag out. It's a Hendrick Motorsports win. The question is, who won it for him?
And the Daytona 500
race winner will be the 24. We'll need the 24 to start finish line.
goes to victory lane. William Byron from Charlotte, North Carolina. Rudy Fugle, his crew chief.
You won? Yes, we won.
Unbelievable. 40 years to the day, Hendrick Motorsports goes 1-2 at the Daytona 500.
Yeah, boys. Oh.
Byron's last win came at Texas in September. It's his 11th career win. Started out playing video games, racing on his computer. Says, Dad, I want to try this.
Oh.
They came to Charlotte and hopped in legend cars. He started winning all the way to NASCAR, won in Truck Series Xfinity champ. Now, Daytona.
Well, and you look at last year and everything that William Byron and this team were able to accomplish, and now to win the Daytona 500. These guys are for real. I love the progression that William Byron has made as a driver with his team, and here they are again.
Huge year for William Byron last year. He just keeps the momentum up, keeps getting better. How about the 24 in victory lane at Daytona again? What a ride. What a finish.
That was wild.
It was so close to the start-finish line, I couldn't tell if they got to it or not. We know it's official. Obviously, it was. 1-2 finish for Hendrick Motorsports. You can't script it any better than that, folks.
Unofficially, 22 cars finish on the lead lap. Some of them pretty well bent up. Not this one. Few battle scars from the way the day went along, and he didn't trigger the big one, but was involved in it. Got turned into Brad Keselowski.
Well, just some advice. I would stay out of the grass. We want to see some burnouts. Please don't get stuck.
He's going to go right out there across Daytona. I don't blame him. That's where I'd want to park it.
Byron had never finished better than 21st in the 500, scoring Rick Hendrick's 302nd NASCAR Cup Series win, and the 9th for Hendrick Motorsports, tying them with Petty Enterprises for the most 500 wins. Richard Petty won 7. Lee Petty, Pete Hamilton went to victory lane for that North Carolina-based team. William Byron goes to capture the flag after an event-filled Daytona 500, in which he led only the final 4 laps.
They came with a different plan, and boy, did it pay off for them. Hendrick Motorsports.
On the finish of the race, instead of going back to look at scoring loops, the race ends at the moment of caution. NASCAR goes back, reviews video evidence to determine the position of the cars and name a winner, who must still then complete the final lap and come to the checkered flag. Tonight, that was William Byron. He becomes a record 6th different driver to win the 500 for Hendrick Motorsports. Jamie Little, trackside.
And William Byron at 26 years old, you've worked so hard in such a short period of time. How does Daytona 500 champion sound to you right now?
It sounds really damn good. It's just thanks to an awesome crowd coming out. I have so many emotions. Obviously hate what happened on the backstretch. I just got pushed and got sideways, but just so proud of this team, whole Exalta team, 40th anniversary to the day on Monday. So just extremely blessed and thankful for all the opportunities, and yeah, we just want to keep it going. We have a lot to prove this year, and this is a good start, obviously. And Daytona 500, it's freaking awesome. Let's go.
William, you have not had a good track record here. Never even finished in the top 10. What was the difference here tonight in getting yourself positioned to be there at the end?
I don't know, just really good strategy. We obviously laid back and tried to save fuel for most of the race, and we would get up there at the end of the stages and make some moves, and I see Boss Man coming up here, but yeah, just thankful for great power under the hood, all of our partners, Chevrolet, everybody that allows us to do this. And I'm just a kid from racing on computers and winning the Daytona 500. I can't believe it. I wish my dad was here. He's sick, but this is for him, man. We've been through so much, and we sat up in the grandstands together and watched the race. This is so freaking cool.
Go see your boss right there, Mr. Hendrick, waiting for him.